Every other species on Earth accumulates resources. Squirrels bury food, bees store honey, lions defend territory, chimpanzees hoard fruit. Every animal that survives in a competitive environment does the same basic thing: acquire, protect, keep. No animal voluntarily destroys what it has worked to obtain. No animal gives its food away to something that cannot physically receive it. No animal transfers its resources toward an invisible being that has never been observed spending any of it. Humans do this constantly. Ancient temples received the first grain of every harvest, the best portion, set aside before the farmer's own family ate. Warriors threw their finest weapons into sacred lakes. Families burned food at graves. Builders sealed gold inside foundation stones. Entire animals were slaughtered, and the meat offered to fire rather than eaten. And today, billions of people give a regular portion of their income to institutions whose primary stated purpose is the maintenance of a relationship with a being who has never once been observed using the money. Global religious giving runs to hundreds of billions of dollars annually. The recipient has no bank account. From an evolutionary standpoint, this is the most spectacular behavior in the animal kingdom. A species that evolved to survive competing for scarce resources, voluntarily destroying those resources at scale, across every culture, across all of recorded history, for a being whose ability to reciprocate is entirely a matter of faith. And here is what makes it stranger. It works. Not for the god, for the humans doing it. But here's the strange thing. Religious giving did not begin with money. It began before money existed, and it began before organized religion existed. The behavior archaeologists identify as the earliest evidence of ritual offering predates agriculture, cities, writing, and any documented belief system. Objects placed in graves, food deposits in specific locations, valuable items deliberately destroyed in contexts that served no practical purpose. The drive to give things away to the invisible predates every institution that currently collects the offering. To understand why, you have to understand a mechanism that operates in every social species on Earth, but that humans pushed further than any other animal ever has. The mechanism is called costly signaling. It works like this. In any group where individuals need to cooperate but cannot fully verify each other's intentions, the most reliable signal of genuine commitment is a cost that cannot be faked. If I tell you I am committed to this group, you have no way of knowing whether I mean it. If I destroy something valuable in front of you, something that genuinely costs me, that action carries information words cannot carry. A signal that is cheap to produce tells you nothing. A signal that is expensive to produce tells you something real, because only someone who genuinely means it would pay that price. Now here is where it gets complicated. Costly signaling operates between humans all the time without anyone calling it that. The person who stays late to help a colleague when they did not have to is signaling something. The person who gives a genuinely expensive gift is signaling something. The person who shows up consistently over years in circumstances where it would be easy not to is signaling something. What they are signaling is not just generosity. They are signaling that their commitment to the relationship is real enough to pay a cost for it. And the group that can verify genuine commitment cooperates more effectively than the group that cannot. Now take that mechanism and apply it not to a human relationship, but to a relationship with a god. A god cannot verify your commitment through ordinary social observation. The god is invisible. It does not see you work. It does not observe your daily choices. The only evidence available to the divine, and to the rest of the group watching, is what you demonstrate publicly. So what do you demonstrate? You give something away. Something real. Something valuable. Something that costs enough that faking it would be irrational. The offering is not primarily a transaction with the god. It is a costly signal, to the god, to the group, and to yourself, that the commitment is genuine. And here is where this becomes important. Groups that demanded costly signals of religious commitment from their members generated something that groups without those demands could not produce at the same level: trust between strangers. In a small tribe of 40 people, you know everyone. Trust is built through direct observation over years. But as human groups grew into villages, cities, trading networks spanning thousands of miles, the old mechanisms of trust broke down. You cannot personally verify the intentions of someone you have never met. But if you both give to the same temple, follow the same demanding ritual calendar, make the same costly sacrifices, that shared cost is a signal you can both read. We paid the same price. We are the same kind of people. The offering built trust at scales that personal reputation never could. This sounds like philosophy. It isn't. Researchers have actually measured this. Anthropologist Richard Sosis at the University of Connecticut analyzed 200 communes, both religious and secular, founded in 19th century America. He tracked how long they survived. Religious communes outlasted secular ones by a significant margin. The key variable was not theological content. It was the number of costly requirements the commune demanded of its members: fasting, dietary restrictions, distinctive dress, financial sacrifice. The more the group demanded, the longer it survived. The cost was the point. Sosis found that secular communes with equally demanding requirements did not show the same effect. The costly signal only produced the cooperation boost when it was framed as sacred, when the cost was understood as an offering rather than just a rule. Which means the religious frame is not decorative. It is what converts an expensive behavior into a trust signal that the group can collectively read. And the most extreme documented version of this mechanism was not a church collection plate. It was the potlatch. Among Pacific Northwest indigenous peoples, documented by anthropologist Franz Boas in the late 19th century, wealthy leaders would periodically hold ceremonies in which they gave away, or deliberately destroyed, enormous quantities of accumulated wealth: blankets, food, canoes, copper plates. The more you destroyed, the higher your status became. The god received the offering, the group received the signal, and the person who gave the most walked away with something that no amount of accumulation could have purchased: the permanent, verified knowledge that everyone present understood the depth of their commitment. The brain did not develop costly signaling to create religious giving. It developed costly signaling to solve the problem of trust between people who could not fully verify each other's intentions. Religious giving was the side effect, and it was one of the most consequential side effects in the history of human cooperation. Think about what that actually means. The tithe, the temple tax, the burnt offering, the potlatch, the charity box, the collection plate, the hajj that costs a significant portion of a year's income for most people who undertake it, the Buddhist monk who gives up all possessions. Every one of these practices in every tradition produces the same outcome. A person who has paid a real cost for their belief is not the same as a person who has only declared one. The cost is the evidence, and a group made up of people who have all paid the same cost for the same commitment is a group that can trust each other in ways that words alone cannot produce. The god did not require the offering because it needed the resources. The god required the offering because the group required the signal. And the group required the signal because the brain that evolved in small bands of 40 people, where everyone knew everyone, was suddenly trying to cooperate at the scale of cities, empires, and global trade networks. The offering was the solution to a problem that size created. No one designed it. It emerged from the same cognitive machinery that makes you trust a person more after they do something that costs them something for your sake. Think about the last time you gave something away that actually cost you something, not a convenient amount. A real cost. Something you noticed the absence of. Notice what that act did, not to the recipient, but to you. Something settled. Something clarified. Something about your relationship to whatever you gave it for became more real after the cost than it was before. That feeling is not spiritual sentiment. It is 200,000 years of social evolution confirming that you meant it. The squirrel buries its food because it needs it. The bee stores its honey because the hive needs it. The human gives its resources away to an invisible being because the group needs to know the commitment is real, and because the human needs to know it too. The offering was never really for the god. It was for the part of you that needed the cost to make the belief feel true.